Hey, hey, what's up, guys? Diplex here again. Welcome back to Men of War Assault Squad 2 and the Great War Realism mod. I hit some weird note there during my hey, and it kind of like put me in another dimension. So, today we're doing another World War I line defense. We have 4 German defensive lines here. We're going to go through them all, but before doing that, let's talk about the French quickly. Now, they're going to be relentlessly attacking us for the next 20 minutes. I'm not sure how many waves I've given them, but they will muster and field about 1,600 soldiers, which is a lot, at least compared to our defenders, which number about 200. So it's going to be a very, very bloody battle. So let's get back to the Germans. So for the first German line, we've got Landwehr and 1 MG. So we're basing this battle off of a 1916 setting, so to speak. So we've got some nice German Landwehr soldiers with the caps, no helmets here. I reckon there's about 70 to 80 Landwehr soldiers in the first trench and 1 MG on the right side. We've got a second line right behind that one with about half as many grenadiers or regular German infantrymen of the time with the M16 steel helmet. We've also got a total of, I believe, 5 Minenwerfers, the ones you can see over here, looking very good. And then we have 3 Granatenwerfer back here. So they're both mortars, yes. Okay, so the third line right in front of this sort of castle wall, we've got more soldiers or more regular German infantry with the M16 steel helmet. We also have way more MGs. Not only static, like deployed tripod machine guns, we've also got the sort of light machine gun they carry with them, as you can see right there. So they're posted up in the bunkers and in the trenches. We have a commander over here and more infantry. We also have the 100 millimeter field howitzer. It could be a 105 as well. And it's placed right there. And we have some more mortars back here. I could have counted it wrong. Yes, I do believe we have a lot more than just 5 Minenwerfer. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so that's a rather big difference. So 8 of the Minenwerfers and 3 Granatenwerfer that you can see here. Looking very good. And then we have Jaegers back here. This is the last line, the 4th and final line. So some Jaegers with that beautifully camo painted helmet. Very artistic, looking very good. They also have slightly greener uniforms. And these guys are going to be better shots. And they have a newer rifle than the other soldiers up front. This looks like a K98. Just straight from World War II. Model-wise. But yeah, it's going to be a very, very good battle. So without further ado, let's go ahead and click that start button. As I said, it's going to be a long one. And yes, the French will be deploying about 1,600 men in 20 waves. So it's going to be, no, even more than that. I think it's like there's 24 waves or something like that. Which is just insane. And from now on, it'll be non-stop action. So let's park ourselves down here. And let's just enjoy the fight from a static perspective. I'm going to have to lower the in-game volume on my headset a tiny bit, because otherwise I'll start screaming because the machine guns are so loud. Okay, so the mortars are already kicking in, and I do believe the field howitzer back there in the center is also going to be delivering some serious firepower. The first French wave has had little success. So they're sending in conscripts at a start here. Most of the soldiers have helmets. I think they switched to helmets in 1916. They skipped the kind of cap that many factions had soft headgear in the early stages of the war. Like the Brits had their cap that looks a bit like an officer hat in a way. And the French have their kepi, I suppose, or kepi. Kepi, it's a kepi. But yes, in 1916, I do believe that was the year when they swapped to helmets. That's also when the German M16 steel helmet came out. Oh, that guy was blown back. So the second wave has just arrived. No machine gun support or artillery support so far. They're sending in some conscripts, some more lighter infantry here to kind of soften up the first German defense line before sending in the more regular infantry with machine gun and artillery support. I love the officers blowing the whistle. That is one part of this mod that I really, really love. One officer made it quite far, but he's going to be shot down. This is so cool. We have to make more videos using the World War I mod because this is a really pretty mod. It's kind of like a Rob's realism mod, but in World War I really do like it. Look at all the effects, all the bullets hitting everywhere. We've got a lot of mortars hitting the center side here, or the left flank of the German defense. This map has also been made by the lead developer, Microsoft Man 404. As far as I'm concerned, it's a one-man mod. I'm not sure if there's any more working on it, but it's very generous of him to supply me with a map to use for a video. Very, very thankful for that. We're gonna take a look at the perspective from the Landwehr MG crew up here as they mow down waves of French infantry approaching the first line. Oh, the gunner's down. He's gonna swap position quickly and man it instead. That was a lucky shot. I haven't seen the French do that so early on. They must have gotten close enough. We have really no artillery shells hitting the right side here. Most of the artillery is focused on the center or left side. But the right is getting pretty hot now with all the French infantry closing in. So the first 5 waves will consist of the lighter French infantry. And every wave after will be consisting of regular infantry. More helmets, more weaponry. Or better weaponry, so to speak. We might even see a mix of rifles. I do believe we already can spot a mixture in terms of small arms here on the French side. Some have the Lebel, which is slightly shorter. This soldier here with the helmet has the Lebel. Classic look, but a gun on the ground here looks almost a bit more like a Mosin in a way. And it seems to have a magazine as well, which is quite interesting. Yes. There's a lot of World War I weaponry that I'm not very familiar with due to my lack of, not interest in the era, but lack of time spent researching the time period and war. So yeah, there's a lot of cool weapon prototypes that were developed during World War I and essentially also led to a lot of the weapons we saw later on during the 30s and in World War II. That kind of gave and made way for those weapons to appear. They still haven't breached the first line yet. The Landwehr is still fighting on. They're just non-stop opening up. This MG is not cooling down at all. It is a water-cooled machine gun, and it is just being reloaded right now, but that's about the only time it's going to have to cool down a bit, because it's going to open up as soon as it's done reloading again. And every Frenchman in its way, it'll just mow down. It'll be interesting to see the casualties it has inflicted later on. Oh, okay, so we're on the 6th wave now. We're going to see some Shaw light machine guns. I do believe it's pronounced Shaw or something like that. But it's a cool looking handheld machine gun. Huge bipods. Same goes for the German MG. It also has a huge bipod attached to it. And they're moving up. So, okay, I'm wrong to say that the rifle has a magazine, because it's not magazine reloaded, but it has what would appear to be a magazine sticking out of it in the bottom to hold the bullets, or in a larger amount of bullets, to increase its bullet capacity, which is a clever design, I suppose. It's kind of like the earlier, like SKS. Not the magazine fed SKS, but the clip the stripper clip SKS. I suppose that's what you can compare it to. We also have some officers running up now, leading the charge. Oh, they're gunned down. That MG is still working. We can see it from back here, from the French perspective. The muzzle flash in the distance, opening up almost constantly. It's a really cool view. The gunner has been killed. We're gonna go ahead and quickly grab 2 German soldiers to crew the gun again. Oh, grenades landing in the trenches now. I believe some of the officers or sergeants, perhaps, with the handguns have hand grenades to throw as well. I don't think the regular infantry have been given the hand grenades, or we'd see more of them being thrown. But the German mortars and artillery in general are just absolutely pounding the French here in the center. They're creating like a no-go zone here from the center to the left. But the right side is not being hit by any artillery at all. I suppose they're entrusting the MGs and infantry in the trenches to deal with the French attacking here. This MG is gonna create a lot of difficult times here for the French. Like, having an automatic weapon in a scenario like this is tremendously advantageous, as it's not a common occurrence and it's usually a static weapon. Too heavy to hold, except for the French shot, of course. But that gun too could probably not be given out to every squad in that kind of number. We'd be looking at perhaps a platoon machine gunner, perhaps a team per platoon, but not per every 6 or 8 men, like in World War II. I think that would be too many for that number at the time. I'm not entirely sure how many they produced, but once again, guns like that are going to give you extreme advantage in situations where you're charging in open cover or in open ground against a fortified position, which was most of World War I, really. And the gun is still spinning. 3 men have previously crewed it and have all died. But considering the amount of Frenchmen attacking it, it's a wonder that a person can spend more than even 5 seconds crewing the gun and firing at the enemy before being shot. So yes, it'll be interesting to look at the casualties later on. Look at him. I see the Frenchman being blown back. It's hard to see who exactly gets shot by him, because there are so many rifles opening up right now at the French. Oh, more whistles. But you can kind of make out. There we go, another person dies to the machine gun, and there's a few sitting back here. And they're being suppressed as well. Oh, now finally we're seeing some German mortars and artillery. Well, mortars and howitzers, I suppose, because mortars do fall under the artillery category. Land here to the right. In fact, if you fire a machine gun in a sort of indirect angle, sort of like a howitzer, it's considered artillery. In fact, they used some heavier machine guns as indirect fire support, shooting them up into the air, or like at an angle. Not straight up, of course, but in like a howitzer angle, and used it as indirect artillery support, which is interesting. I've seen a Russian machine gun be set up for that. Like, I think it was a Vickers or something like that. Very interesting. Or a Maxim, I suppose. A Maxim. Or similar, I'm not sure. But there's all kinds of use for it. The gun is still going. How are the other trenches looking? Some artillery is landing dangerously close now to our own defenders. But the French are getting closer, so that is what the situation demands. Oh, we see a few hand grenades. I didn't know the Landwehr had hand grenades, and that's a very long throw. So the second line is engaging, but the mortars all the way back here are firing. So are the howitzers. And I still see the Landwehr machine gun opening up back there. It's absolutely crazy. Let's watch its final minutes or seconds as it defends the first trench line against the French infantry. But they're still getting here, and he's still reloading. Any second now, the gun is done reloading. Oh, he's going to be mowing down French soldiers appearing in the open there. Right in front of the trench. Look at that close range. Oh, that grenade is going to be thrown. Is he going to get it out? Yes! He got the grenade off, and it's going to land right next to the machine gun. Oh, but it's not going to be it. Somehow the gunner is still alive. Oh, look at him. Oh, he's going to be mowing them down. That is so cool. He's fortunate that he's got a good ammo capacity. He's got a lot of rounds in that belt leading down into that big box. Oh, he's just, look at them. They're being all mowed down. Look. Artillery now supporting. He's still alive. I wonder what his name is. I'm not going to tab out to find out. He's the unknown German soldier. The unknown heroes of World War I. We saw a very heroic machine gunner in the first World War I video we did, featuring the battle at Mons, I believe, or at Mons. With the British machine gunner doing a lot of work, so to speak. And historically, I didn't know of this before I recorded the video. It was first until afterwards when someone pointed it out in the comment section that the machine gunner had actually historically been awarded a Victoria Cross, the first Victoria Cross, and he's down, of the war, as a matter of fact. And he was a machine gunner who did heroically at holding back the German attack. And that's pretty cool, because we saw in-game during that battle a British machine gunner holding so many German soldiers back. I do think, unfortunately, he was either killed or forced to retreat. I can't remember exactly, but it could have been a post, what do you call that, when the award is given out after someone's death. But yeah, well, the first line looks pretty cleared out here on the right side. Let's take a, no, we'll take a look afterwards. I'll try and remember it, but I want to see what damage the machine gun did, or how many casualties it inflicted on the French army. Already, the whole battlefield is just littered with dead bodies. Most of the ones here in the center are casualties to the German artillery. But yeah, they're starting to get close enough now to enter the trench. They've done so at least here on the right side. They're actually in the trench right now fighting our soldiers. And they're about to reach the second line. We're finally starting to see more mortars support the right side, because that's where they're actually breaking through. The amount of fire support or artillery support we saw here in the center left has stopped the French, and are still stopping the French from getting to the first line. But now we're starting to see more mortars focus their fire onto the right side. Are these Granatenwerfers active? We've taken casualties back here, and I wonder, is it due to stray bullets? It must be, because none of the French soldiers back there are actually actively focusing on these guys. So we've seen casualties to stray bullets, to like the severe stray amount of bullets from back here. But the amount of stray bullets. There's hundreds of French infantrymen with machine guns and pistols and rifles have been firing, missing the Germans in the trenches and hitting soldiers back here. We even still see bullets hitting around here. Look, There's bullets hitting the wall. Yeah, there's a lot of bullets hitting the wall up here. And that's indirect fire, not targeting them specifically. So we've done some damage back here already. Even some of the machine gunners inside the bunkers are dead. Get ready. Here comes the next wave. Yeah, they've pretty much cleared out the right side here. And we have one German alive on the right side here. He's taking a lot of fire. He's down. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. The kind of the way the blue uniforms contrast against the soil, the war-torn earth, and also all the explosions and smoke that spread across the battlefield, creating this man-made kind of mist. It's quite beautiful, actually. Now we're seeing some serious fire support here on the right side. I suppose all the Granatenwerfers back here are opening up. Granatenwerfer. Grenades are being thrown too. Oh, that's a bouncy one back there. There's kind of like almost a small ceasefire. The French have stopped up for a second. I wonder why. It's quiet. I can assure you the attack is not ended. Oh, we're under artillery fire. French artillery. They're bombing our positions right now. That's a big barrage. That's a lot of guns opening up right now. We're taking fire all over our defensive line here. It's a lot of rounds. Luckily, we're in the trenches. Oh no, direct hit on our mortar position back there. That was one hell of a barrage. And we should expect a big charge of French infantry now. Yep, a very big attack. They're deploying company after company now. We could expect a whole battalion being deployed at once now after that artillery barrage. It did disable some of our positions. It took out a bunker. We lost, our mortar back here. So they definitely did damage. And I believe after some more stray bullets, we'll probably lose the entire wall section up here. But we do have all the mortars still crewed, and someone's jammed. Yeah, you better fix that, soldier. Yeah, that's a big wave of French infantry. We're looking at something like 250, 300 men attacking right now. In a big push. Might be the last attempt. We will have to find out, but so far the German defenses are holding nicely. Let's give you guys a good overview from back here. A little static camera action. So you can see. Let's get a good view like that. There's even more French artillery bombing our lines now, if you can tell. You see all those explosions? That's a huge barrage. Not the most accurate fire, but the coordinates are rather inaccurate. They're targeting a big line here, a big defensive position, so there's no direct target that they want to aim in for. It must have done some damage. It's hard to tell exactly why. Well, there's a pair of legs flying down from the sky. So that's a sign of someone having lost something, at least. I hear the whistle again, and more French soldiers are entering the field. This is a massive push. There's no doubt about it. Hundreds of soldiers. We could be looking at a whole battalion being deployed here again. This is one hell of a push, and I think it might be enough to break the second defensive line. It's starting to empty up, but there are still some very brave Germans holding here. They're not retreating across the open. They're holding their ground despite the insane pressure applied to them by the French infantry. Oh, that is beautiful. I'm gonna try and reduce lag and give you guys an overview look instead. Look at that. Look at all of them, like little ants on the ground from the bird's eye view here. More whistles are being blown. The sergeants are pushing the men forward. The officers are yelling at the sergeants. We're bringing the manpower ahead. This is what I like about World War I battles, is that it doesn't make you feel bad about deploying 2,000 men in a matter of 30 minutes. It makes you feel realistically and historically accurate, you know? It just feels good. It makes sense. Oh, they're definitely going to take the second line. They've done a lot of damage to our rear lines here as well. But our MGs are actually starting to open up now. In what is starting to become a bit of a slideshow due to the insane amount of detail. And of course all the casualties. If I could click a button to delete all the dead corpses, it would ruin some of the immersion, but it would give us back another 30 frames. I can guarantee you that. But I've seen worse. I've definitely seen worse. This is working out pretty well, I'd say. Look at those mortar hits. Oh, yes. If you guys want to see more World War I action, let me know, and I can deliver something this weekend. Maybe even tomorrow or Sunday. I'm so stoked for this. This is awesome. Yeah, they're using more grenades. It might not only be the NCOs. That one bounced right back at the French. It hit the side of the trench and bounced right back. Oh, the mortars. And that howitzer is still going. But yeah, the French have definitely captured the second trench line. Look at them. We've got French boots in the German second trench, and it's no longer a German trench. But the left side is holding still. Let's do another bird's eye. I like the view. It's interesting. It looks like one of those online strategy games where you look at the top and you have a little sidebar here where you send out infantry, and you've got one on the right as well. Hey, that's a pretty cool idea. I might do that for a battle. This is super cool. I'm enjoying this view. It's a totally different way to experience Men of War. Oh, we have some brave officers moving up here. Look at them. Look at all the bullets hitting. Oh, the artillery as well. He's still alive. He's crawling back. How long will he live? He's got a soldier crawling out to help him. He's moving back into the trench. That officer might live to see another day. Dangerous. It looks like the French have stopped receiving reinforcements. They've deployed a whole regiment, remember that. Just the insane amount of... let me see if I can find out exactly how many. I remember the numbers in my head. It is... yes, it's about exactly 1,500 men around, roughly. So that is... That could be a regiment easily. I mean, especially in 1916, if it's not a fully fresh regiment with all of the ranks completely filled, which very few of the regiments were. I mean, sometimes they would form new regiments, or they would send in reserves to fill the gaps of dead people as soon as recruits had been trained properly to be sent out. That is sort of how it worked. And if some regiments were deployed really far into the front, perhaps they wouldn't necessarily receive all the reinforcements. I mean, sometimes they would if it was like a priority, so to speak. But the whole the question of where the reserves went, and you know, not all too many regiments were formed mid-war or late war, so to speak, because all the combat units and regiments and battalions and companies suffered casualties, and obviously the ranks were emptying up. There weren't all too many at home that you could enlist. So of course, as you could tell during the Battle of Berlin, you had a lot of really old people and like even girls and stuff manning the flank turrets and young boys, because you just didn't have enough sort of able-bodied adults and men to do that, because Germany had been running out of manpower as well. So but early on, so that's why would you form a brand new regiment in 44 or 45 when you have so many other regiments around the world that need people to fill up the casualties in a platoon or company? So yeah, but it's interesting. I suppose soldiers would usually go to the front line, and if there were a lot of new recruits and if there were more units and formations needed that could be maneuvered separately, then you would perhaps form a new regiment, early war or something like that. Early to mid-war, depending on the influx of new recruits. Of course, if there was a regiment that was really far in, together with a brigade and a division and a corps fighting some serious frontline combat really far away from the sort of manpower pool, then perhaps it could be hard to get them there and deploy them properly for frontline combat straight away. Perhaps they would be sent to kind of like a reserve regiment a little bit further away from the front. And then when that frontline regiment would suffer too many casualties so that it would be withdrawn or replaced, then they would in their turn receive reserves in a more peaceful manner. But yeah, that's I could go on talking about that, or philosophy, or pondering and thinking about that for hours. But it does seem like the French attack has been halted. They're even pulling back on some areas now. There's a few people opening up, but they're not going to break the third trench. And there's a torso landing as well in slow motion. Let's look at casualties. Well, we can tell it is and has been one hell of a fight. Over 1,000 dead Frenchmen, and probably about 100 Germans, which doesn't seem like a lot compared to 1,000, but do remember that they were attacking across the open ground. And we had people like the four brothers here, or whatever they are. They look like a nice little trio. This machine gun did 156 casualties. It killed 156 people. And as another example, let's take a look at this mortar. It has killed 94. This one has killed 140. The third one over here has killed 89. And the fourth one over here has killed 125. So they represent about half of the French casualties. 4 guns, 4 weapons, 4 mortars, and 1 machine gun have killed about half of the French force attacking, which is just insane. But thank you guys for watching. If you guys want to see more World War I combat, let me know, and I can make it. We can do all kinds of cool things. And be sure to stay after the outro. I'm going to be including some cool machine gun and mortar, or machine gun and rifleman cinematics from the battle. I've had 2 cameras set up to film some of the action. And it looks kind of cool from a static point of view. So see you guys in the next video, and enjoy. Bye.